Hey, what's going on, everyone? I am clone_tech. I am a crypto miner, crypto enthusiast, and wanted to set up a BitTube channel and use this video as a little bit of an introduction. I'm going to show how I have my mining rigs set up. Certainly not an expert, so this is not meant to be the answer key on how to do it, but throwing out what I've done that I think is working well in the hopes that someone might see this and share some ideas on how to make it work better or more efficiently. So, start off with a little tour of how things are set up. Here's the mining setup as it sits today. I've got a rig of 570s and a rig of 470s. Ran 240 volt power earlier this summer. This PDU back here is kind of my favorite part of the whole thing, where you can at any given moment tell by a glance at the number 5 is good, 3 or 1 is bad. So that's worked out really well. Running everything off of the platinum server grade HP power supplies as well. Those are awesome. I'm a sysadmin by day, so plugging things in here that I know is designed to run 24/7 for years and years is a good thing, and the efficiency on them is pretty remarkable as well. So those worked out really well. Highly recommend that. But yeah, pretty standard setup throughout the rest, other than this guy over here, which is an old HP computer that basically was a Plex server for a number of years, recording kids shows from over-the-air broadcasts, and got repurposed into a miner last fall. So the general setup, once I zoom out here, is about as unelegant as it gets. You have storage shelves with suitcases above, you have dog run down below, but I kind of like the way things are set up here. Gigantic thermometer, and the webcam sits behind me, so that pretty much at any point as I was building this out and wanted to monitor things closely, I could check in from work and see if my garage was at a good temperature or not so much. But I've got some foam insulation Home Depot stuff going there, so we've got kind of an incline with a back to front airflow, so that hopefully we're pushing the air out into the center of the garage and keeping things cool. That's worked out well. Obviously I'm not an HVAC technician, so can't say for certain that that's the best way, and I know I don't have a great intake for the big fans in the back there, but it seems to work out pretty well to push air from the back to the front and keep things running cool there. Carrying on with the theme of things being about as inelegant as possible, to try to exhaust some heat from my garage, especially obviously in summertime. Had the normal door on my garage that I wasn't real wild about cutting into, just to experiment. So I don't know how widespread these are, but we have stores in my area called the Habitat for Humanity Restore, and it's kind of like a Goodwill crossed with a Home Depot. So I was able to pick up a door that fit after a little bit of modification for like $4, and was kind of able to hack my way from there. Ended up picking up a fan that is, I guess, widely used in certain segments of agriculture out in my region, i.e. Grow tents. So picked a couple of those up on the cheap from someone who was getting out of that business. They move a ton of air, and kind of had to fabricate a way to hang it in the door and then exhaust it out. And on the other side, there's a little, like, I don't know, flap that closes so that when there's not air blowing, it's more or less closed off. Down along the bottom, these little louvers are, in my opinion, absurdly expensive. But again, the Habitat store came through there and got a pretty good deal on being able to do kind of a passive intake down at the bottom, so that fan up top is blowing air out. Again, not an HVAC person. I know an HVAC person would at least say you shouldn't be blowing your hot air right into the same space that the cold air is coming in. I'd certainly like to make it a little more efficient in how it pulls air, because it's just sucking from the space in general, and if I was able to duct it over to pull heat or pull the hot air right off of my cards, that would be a lot better. There are some logistical issues in putting ductwork onto a walk-through door, so I haven't quite figured out how to solve that problem. And honestly, through the heat of summer, my garage got warm, but cards stayed cool, so it's not, I don't know, maybe something that should be a priority, but at the moment is not something that's real burning in terms of needing to enhance that setup. So that's the tour. If I had to sum it up into my two favorite things, or two things that I think are the most important that I've done in there, I would say that just trying to move a lot of air across the cards has helped a ton in keeping things cool. And generally, just a huge believer in trying to minimize overhead each month by making the electrical stuff as efficient as possible. So that's kind of what drove everything in terms of getting 240 volt circuits put in, and the platinum power supplies. So I hope you enjoyed the tour, and I plan to put up some other videos with a few things that I think have been useful that I've kind of figured out in terms of monitoring rigs or maximizing uptime. A couple of tricks within Google Apps that I think are helpful as well. So stay tuned for those, and we'll see you next time.